Item number 3 is announcements and reports. Board members, are there any announcements or reports this evening?
I do. I have something to say.
Okay.
Yeah. More of a comment. So, after our last meeting on July 8th, I received, significant resident feedback related to the decision to revise our development agreement for 409 South Street with Criterion. That decision provided Criterion approximately $244,000 by way of a building permit fee credit. While that decision was unanimous amongst board members, I do want to clarify why I voted to grant an additional discount to Criterion. Development here in Shrewsbury has accelerated, with a lot of the focus being multifamily housing developments along the Route 20 corridor. Much of our commercially zoned land has been lost to residential projects through developer use of Chapter 40B, which allows developer to override underlying zoning for affordable housing developments. This accelerated development and use of 40B has been extremely frustrating for Shrewsbury residents. However, 40B developments can be stopped. They can be stopped by achieving what is referred to as safe harbor status with the state. Once safe harbor status is achieved, the Zoning Board of Appeals can deny new 40B projects. This can be done in 2 primary ways. First, you meet the state's affordable housing requirement. The state's requirement is that 10% of the total number of housing units in a community need to be affordable. When a community reaches the 10% affordable threshold, it enters permanent safe harbor. Permanent in the sense that it will last until at least the next census data is available, which will be around 2032. To achieve safe harbor at current housing levels, Shrewsbury needs to have 1,489 affordable housing units. Currently, we have 1,010, which includes the recently opened Elmwood at the corner of Stony Hill and Route 20. Before my time on the Select Board, the decision was made to place Shrewsbury's MBTA 3A zoning overlay on top of 2 proposed 40B projects, the Pulte project on Green Street and the Criterion project on South Street. As proposed 40B projects, these 2 developments were projected to bring 496 units to Shrewsbury, 271 of which would have contributed to our total affordable housing units. However, once the February referendum vote failed and the MBTA zone was adopted, Pulte decided to change from 40B to MBTA 3A zoning, eliminating 52 affordable housing units. Before changing to MBTA zoning, Pulte was issued a comprehensive permit by the Zoning Board of Appeals on July 17th, 2024. This is important to note due to the second way to achieve safe harbor status, by creating and implementing a housing production plan. With an approved housing production plan, interim safe harbor can be achieved if yearly progress is made toward the required 10% affordable goal. As Mr. Mizikar explained on July 8th, Shrewsbury can achieve 1-year safe harbor by adding 75 new affordable units, or achieve a 2-year safe harbor by adding 149 new units in a 1-year period. Interim safe harbor is achieved once a comprehensive permit is issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals for a new 40B project that meets the thresholds defined in Shrewsbury's housing production plan. When Pulte was issued a comprehensive permit last July, Shrewsbury should have applied for interim safe harbor, providing the Zoning Board of Appeals the ability to deny 40B projects for a 1-year period. However, due to administrative oversight, Shrewsbury Housing Production Plan expired in March of 2024. Shrewsbury remained out of compliance for 10 months until the updated housing production plan was approved by the EOHLC in January of 2025. This oversight prevented Shrewsbury from interim safe harbor and allowed 104 Main Street, a project opposed by many residents, to proceed. Had Shrewsbury renewed its housing production plan on time, 104 Main Street could have been stopped by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Since 104 Main Street was unable to be denied through safe harbor status, the 300 new units making up the development need to be utilized by Shrewsbury to get to the 10% affordable requirement for a more permanent safe harbor. This brings me back to Criterion and my decision on July 8th. If this board would have denied Criterion's request for a revised development agreement, Criterion would have changed from 40B to MBTA zoning, just like Pulte, eliminating 166 affordable units from Shrewsbury's subsidized housing inventory, keeping Shrewsbury under the 10% requirement and out of permanent safe harbor status. As I mentioned earlier, safe harbor is the best way to control future 40B apartment developments. In justifying the need for a revised development agreement, Criterion's representative stated that every dollar counts. Well, do you know who else tells us that every dollar counts? The residents of Shrewsbury. Their hard-earned tax dollars should not be given out freely. I had a choice, either capitulate to Criterion's request and provide Shrewsbury with the ability to control future developments in a responsible manner, or deny the request and continue to give free rein to developers like we have with the Pinellas property and 104 Main Street. And don't even get me started with potentially allowing the Beal developer to kick the can down the road.
Mr. Richards.
I hope this decision is the last time I am forced to put developers before the residents of our community. Thank you.
I think in the future, if you want to add an agenda item, we should discuss an agenda item. Board members, any comments? Item number 4 is the town manager's report. Mr. Mizikar?
I have nothing.